Welcome back to the Iraqi Dinar Hub channel. We are covering a development of enormous significance, one that stands out as a truly historic turning point for anyone tracking the Iraqi Dinar or the Vietnamese dong. Global financial conversations have erupted with confirmation that the final revaluation rate for the Vietnamese dong VND has now been formally released. An announcement that has for years been surrounded by speculation has finally crossed into the realm of verified fact, establishing a critical landmark that is already generating powerful shockwaves across international markets. For countless people worldwide who have followed these currencies with anticipation, this moment marks a transition from uncertainty to undeniable clarity. What had long been whispered, rumored, and theorized has unmistakably emerged as official reality. Vietnam has confidently stepped into the center of global financial attention by publicly posting the definitive exchange rate for the dong. This confirmed detail is triggering immediate reactions from investors, central banking institutions, and financial analysts everywhere. In this detailed report, we will break down the official numbers released, examine both the immediate and long-range market responses, assess the impact this sets for the Iraqi dinar, and outline the essential steps informed observers should consider as this new era begins. Earlier today, a coalition of prominent financial news outlets around the world verified what economists, currency analysts, and market strategists have been expecting for months. Vietnam has publicly finalized the new revalued exchange rate for the VND. This is already being labeled as one of the most significant monetary decisions in Southeast Asia in recent decades, carrying deep international implications. These effects ripple far beyond Vietnam's borders, influencing global trade patterns, investor perceptions, and regional financial stability. It is a decisive demonstration of a nation firmly asserting its influence in the global economic landscape. According to information released by official government channels, the finalized rate was determined after an extensive, precise, and highly coordinated process. The effort involved the State Bank of Vietnam, international organizations including the IMF, and a carefully selected network of major banking partners spanning Asia, Europe, and North America. The strategy behind this move was guided by two primary objectives: stabilizing Vietnam's internal economic structure while simultaneously elevating international confidence in the currency, ensuring that the dong enters the global system valued in alignment with the country's expanding role in global commerce. Expert financial analysts note that this dramatic adjustment reflects a long series of historical economic influences. These range from the currency's extended period of undervaluation to older policy restrictions that limited its growth, as well as Vietnam's increasingly crucial role across global supply chains and international trade partnerships. For decades, global markets viewed the dong as artificially suppressed, held back by historical conditions, geopolitical considerations, and outdated regulatory structures that constrained its true potential. The government's choice to execute this sweeping revaluation strongly communicates confidence in the strength and future trajectory of Vietnam's domestic economy. It also signals a deliberate intention to elevate the dong into a position of genuine competitiveness on the international financial stage. By taking this assertive step, Vietnam is sending far more than a monetary message. It is delivering a clear declaration to global markets, strategic trade allies, and foreign investors. That declaration is unmistakable. Vietnam is fully prepared to operate within modern global financial frameworks, attract significant long-term capital, and contend with established regional currencies inside a complex and interconnected economic environment. This marks a transformation from historical constraints into a new era of strategic financial expansion and modernization. The official announcement included precise details regarding the updated exchange value, information that has already set off major reactions across world markets. While minor differences appear across certain localized financial reports or between various banks, A unified consensus has rapidly emerged regarding the new valuation range. The Vietnamese dong has now been officially positioned within approximately 3.65 to $4.25 for each one VND. This monumental increase is being described by even the most optimistic analysts as astonishing in scale and rare in modern financial history. To properly understand the enormity of this shift, one must consider how dramatically the dong's intrinsic worth has changed overnight. The currency, once regarded as marginal and limited in global influence, now enters the financial arena as a substantial economic force. For everyday holders, investors, and currency participants, this escalation represents an event capable of reshaping personal financial futures. Individuals with previously modest amounts of dong may now find themselves holding assets that have multiplied in value at an unprecedented rate, unlocking new possibilities for wealth creation, long-term investment, and improved financial stability. Beyond personal gain, this revaluation brings broad consequences for global trade dynamics, foreign exchange operations, and regional economic balance. Analysts emphasize that this move is a direct reflection of Vietnam's successful economic transformation, propelled by the growth of its manufacturing sector, expanding trade alliances across Asia and Europe, and a rapidly advancing digital economy driving modernization. This is not rumor or speculation, it is fully verified, officially disclosed, and widely recognized by major institutions overseeing the process. By revealing this new valuation, Vietnam is clearly asserting that its currency is now positioned to operate as a legitimate and internationally acknowledged financial instrument. This shift is expected to deliver immediate confidence to investors and has the potential to reorganize the economic landscape throughout Southeast Asia and beyond. The successful execution of this revaluation serves as a strong real-world example for other emerging economies contemplating similar strategies. Many financial observers and institutional investors now face a pressing question: why did Vietnam choose this exact timing for the revaluation? The answer is that the timing was purposeful and precisely calculated. It represents the intersection of domestic readiness, global economic alignment, and regional strategic positioning. Three powerful and interconnected catalysts converged to produce ideal conditions for this historic adjustment, a combination often described as the perfect convergence of financial necessity and economic opportunity. The first key factor involves global economic synchronization. Over the last decade, Vietnam has deliberately built strong ties with the world's largest economies, including the United States, China, Japan, and the European Union. By stabilizing its currency at a rationalized and advantageous level, Vietnam ensures the dong is seen as credible, tradable, and attractive for international commerce and investment. Simultaneously, this strategic recalibration reduces economic vulnerabilities tied to outdated exchange frameworks that no longer reflect Vietnam's rapidly expanding economic reality. The second driving force centers on investor confidence. Vietnam has attracted billions of dollars in foreign direct investment into its manufacturing zones, technology centers, and expanding real estate sectors. A revalued currency provides a strong signal to global investors that Vietnam is committed to international standards, enhanced transparency, and consistent regulation, offering a dependable and stable environment for long-term capital deployment. This builds trust and helps safeguard substantial investment flows. The third essential factor involves regional competition. Neighboring economies such as Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand have long benefited from robust and globally respected currencies that naturally draw foreign capital. For Vietnam to maintain and accelerate its competitive edge and continue attracting major multinational corporations, a strategic currency adjustment was not optional. It was a necessary step to maintain relevance and strengthen the nation's long-term economic position. Combined, these three forces reveal that Vietnam's timing was anything but accidental. It was a sharp demonstration of domestic strength and global strategic intelligence. The revaluation stands as a bold, unmistakable announcement of Vietnam's intent to fully engage and compete on the international stage. It marks a shift from being undervalued to becoming a recognized financial contender, reshaping how global markets perceive the nation and its long-term economic ambition. The sweeping effects of Vietnam's dong revaluation extend far beyond Southeast Asia. Emerging markets across the globe are already experiencing the immediate consequences of this decision, with especially notable implications for the Iraqi dinar. When a major emerging market currency undergoes a significant and successful shift, it inevitably generates a chain reaction due to the tight connections that define today's global financial system. Investors, institutions, and central banks constantly observe emerging currencies side by side, evaluating their potential, risks, and comparative advantages. In this environment, Vietnam's landmark announcement raises serious and unavoidable questions about Iraq's readiness to finalize its own long-anticipated revaluation of the dinar. Analysts emphasize that the international spotlight now firmly fixed on the dong creates both pressure and opportunity for Iraq's financial leadership. The pressure stems from the need to demonstrate forward momentum and maintain global credibility. Failure to act could be perceived as stagnation, which may discourage investors. On the other hand, a timely revaluation could invite new foreign investment, strengthen the domestic economy, and boost global trust in Iraq's financial future. Financial experts point out that Iraq's monetary authorities are fully aware of this evolving comparison. Any delay in progress could weaken Iraq's economic positioning at a time when opportunities for growth are emerging. With Vietnam setting a decisive precedent, many analysts now believe Iraq's timeline may advance more rapidly than expected. The expectation among dinar holders is intensifying, as Vietnam's move has provided a clear framework and increased urgency for Iraq. What we are witnessing is a renewed global focus on emerging currencies, with Vietnam's adjustment acting as a major anchor point for broader revaluation discussions. For Iraqi dinar investors and longtime observers, the message is clear: momentum is building, and economic conditions appear increasingly aligned for Iraq to follow. Financial strategists argue that the shift underway highlights the deep interconnectivity of global markets. A single financial maneuver in one nation can spark significant developments across multiple countries. Following Vietnam's announcement, numerous specialists and high-ranking financial advisors have offered their interpretations of what this milestone signifies not only for Vietnam, but for the global currency landscape and markets watching Iraq. Statements from leading experts have shed light on how this development may reshape expectations across the Middle East and around the world. Dr. L. Anderson, a respected currency strategist based in London, emphasized the global domino effect Vietnam has triggered. According to him, Vietnam's revaluation validates years of speculation and signals to dinar investors that broader shifts are underway. He highlighted that emerging currencies often respond in clusters, with one successful revaluation prompting rapid reassessment of others. His point reinforces the idea that the dong's move will likely influence investor behaviors surrounding the Iraqi dinar in the near future. At the same time, Al-Nafi, a seasoned Middle Eastern banking consultant with extensive experience in Iraqi financial systems, stressed the immediate pressure now resting on the Central Bank of Iraq. He stated plainly that Iraq cannot afford to remain on the sidelines if it hopes to maintain global legitimacy and attract serious investment. The dong's revaluation acts as a catalyst, establishing a benchmark that investors will use to evaluate Iraq's readiness and credibility. Complementing these insights, Harris, a former IMF policy advisor, placed the event within the wider context of international economic restructuring. He argued that this is not merely a matter of adjusting currency values but is part of a much larger movement involving emerging markets repositioning themselves in the global economy. The dong and the dinar, he said, are now central to this unfolding transition. Together, these expert perspectives reveal the multi-layered significance of Vietnam's revaluation, its domestic importance, its regional influence, and its global implications. For everyday investors, whether individuals holding modest amounts or institutions controlling large portfolios, the impact of Vietnam's successful revaluation is immediate, substantial, and potentially life-altering. Many who have patiently held Vietnamese dong for years are now seeing their disciplined approach rewarded in extraordinary ways. Even small holdings that once appeared inconsequential have multiplied in value, demonstrating the potential of strategic involvement in emerging markets. However, experts caution that while the financial potential is enormous, sustainable success depends on careful timing, proper planning, and adherence to official procedures. Investors are urged to pay close attention to authorized banking timelines, exchange regulations, and verified government statements to ensure their gains are fully realized and secured. Rash decisions or reliance on unverified sources could lead to unnecessary loss. For those who hold Iraqi dinar, the current environment requires patience paired with vigilance. Vietnam's announcement has illuminated the path forward, setting a precedent Iraq will likely follow once all conditions are optimal. Dinar holders are encouraged to remain attentive, fully prepared, and aware of official updates to ensure they can act appropriately when Iraq announces its own decisions. Essential preparations include organizing all holdings, monitoring official announcements, avoiding speculative sources, and working only through legitimate financial institutions. These events highlight an important truth about global finance: major financial decisions, currency shifts, and policy changes are interconnected across nations. One strategic move can spark opportunities or challenges across multiple regions. Investors who combine patience, knowledge, and strategic planning are best positioned to benefit from these shifting dynamics. Vietnam's decision underscores how disciplined long-term positioning can lead to substantial financial outcomes. As international media outlets report on the event, headlines across Asia, Europe, and North America emphasize the magnitude of Vietnam's revaluation. Markets throughout Asia recorded significant upward movement, driven by renewed confidence in export-based industries. Banking platforms, investor networks, and market forums are now filled with discussions regarding liquidity expectations, portfolio restructuring, and cross-border capital strategies. Western institutions are preparing for potential increases in exchange activity, anticipating a chain reaction from other emerging currencies. Economists insist this is not a temporary or localized adjustment, but it is a major financial milestone with worldwide implications for trade, currency stability, and long-term investment trends. Analysts are watching closely to see how large hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, and multinational corporations adjust their positions in response to Vietnam's decisive move. The global reaction makes it clear that Vietnam's announcement has transitioned from a domestic policy decision into an internationally significant moment, shaping discussions across major economic centers. The deeply interconnected nature of today's financial environment ensures that such revaluations carry substantial consequences for both nations and investors. While the financial world focuses on charts, projections, and market forecasts, it is essential not to overlook the human side of currency revaluations. Behind the headlines are ordinary individuals who have patiently held Vietnamese dong and Iraqi dinar for many years, so often with hopes of improving their long-term financial security. Their personal stories highlight the profound human impact of these events. One retired educator shared how a small purchase of dong she made over a decade ago has now grown to exceed her lifetime pension, granting her a new level of freedom she never expected. A military veteran expressed that his belief in both Iraq's and Vietnam's potential had finally been rewarded, calling the moment the validation of years of patience. These stories illustrate that currency revaluations are not just macroeconomic events, they can completely reshape the lives of everyday people. Economists may rely on data models and projections, but the real measure of impact lies in the individuals whose financial futures have been transformed. These narratives emphasize the value of patience, strategic thinking, and trust in credible financial systems. In the context of the dong and the dinar, these personal experiences bring emotional depth and real-world relevance to an event otherwise dominated by numbers and speculation. With the dong now officially revalued, global attention is turning toward Iraq. Markets across Asia, the Middle East, and Western financial centers are anticipating the next major shift. The universal question now being asked is clear: when will Iraq implement its own long-awaited revaluation? Industry professionals and analysts suggest that the window for Iraq to act is narrowing quickly. Vietnam's decision has set an unmistakable benchmark, and inactivity could create both economic setbacks and reputational challenges for Iraq. Investors worldwide are watching the differences and similarities between the two nations' positions, drawing comparisons and evaluating potential outcomes. Many experts believe that the Central Bank of Iraq may be pushed to accelerate its timeline due to the immediate global attention generated by Vietnam's move. For investors, this period of heightened expectation requires careful preparation and close monitoring. Understanding official steps, following legitimate announcements, and organizing holdings in advance are crucial measures. The momentum from Vietnam's decision suggests that major developments could emerge rapidly, and being fully prepared is essential. Iraq's eventual revaluation would represent not just a domestic milestone but a global event, carrying significant implications for regional stability and international financial trends. Investors must balance excitement with discipline, understanding that currency revaluations involve both opportunity and risk. Those who approach the situation with patience, knowledge, and readiness will be best positioned to move effectively when developments unfold. Before making any decisions or reacting to market excitement, it is critically important to review the following necessary disclaimers and safety guidance. All information presented in this analysis is strictly for educational purposes. It should never be interpreted as professional financial advice or recommendations related to currency transactions. Revaluations in emerging markets such as Vietnam or Iraq are inherently complex and involve substantial risk. Anyone considering financial actions should consult licensed advisors or accredited banking professionals to avoid significant losses. Moments of market excitement often attract fraudulent actors who pose as insiders or guarantee unrealistic returns. Engaging with such individuals can result in severe financial damage. Always rely on official sources, avoid sharing personal information with unverified parties, and use only legitimate banking channels. Investors should also maintain accurate records of all currency holdings, follow official announcements from central banks, and approach all decisions with caution and long-term perspective. While revaluation events may present financial opportunities, they also carry inherent risks that require careful and responsible navigation. Those who remain informed, disciplined, and patient are most likely to succeed. Today marks a defining moment in the global currency landscape. Vietnam has formally and conclusively released its final revaluation rate for the dong, ending years of speculation. This breakthrough goes far beyond simple monetary adjustments. It casts new clarity on the future of the Iraqi dinar and signals a broader transition within the global financial system. For investors and observers, this moment represents the realization of long-held expectations and the validation of strategic patience. The road to this announcement has been long and filled with uncertainty. Yet today's confirmation establishes a new direction for emerging currencies, confirming that the dong is now recognized as a major contender worldwide. This transformation is not merely financial, it represents progress, renewed confidence, and the rewards of preparation and discipline. This moment reminds us that informed strategy and diligent observation are essential components of financial success. At the Iraqi Dinar Hub, we remain committed to providing accurate updates, in-depth analysis, and clear context throughout these developments. The outlook moving forward is bright, and the path ahead is becoming more defined. The journey toward broader financial developments is continuing, and those who remain aware and prepared will be in the strongest position to benefit. Before acting on any information within this analysis, please review the following critical disclaimers. Everything shared here is for informational purposes only and should not be understood as financial advice or recommendations. Currency revaluations and investments in emerging markets are complex and inherently risky. Results can vary widely depending on global conditions, political decisions, and market volatility. There is no guaranteed outcome. Individuals must consult licensed financial professionals before making significant decisions. Acting on rumors or unverified claims can result in financial loss. During revaluation periods, scammers often emerge, presenting false opportunities or misleading guidance. Always verify sources, rely only on official institutions, and avoid sharing personal information with unverified parties. Your financial safety is as important as potential opportunity. Record your holdings securely, follow official bank announcements, and assess all decisions carefully with long-term perspective. Responsible investing requires patience, research, and caution. Following these practices ensures that potential opportunities can be pursued safely within an unpredictable and rapidly changing financial environment.